Hey everyone, welcome to another 90 Day Fiance recap chat. This is Irene CBiz Media, Faith, Love, and Trends. Now let's get into 90 Day Fiance, the single life. We know 90 Day Fiance is basically a reality show that follows couples. One person's from the US, the other's from another country. They have 90 days to marry. There's so many different obstacles, so many dynamics, culture barriers, language boundaries, some dishonesty, some bad intentions. Some of these elements can be in 90 Day Fiance, and then sometimes there's the happily ever after moments, which are great and wonderful, but then there's the messy moments as well. So with single life, it's the remnants of all the couples that didn't exactly work out. They are now individuals looking for love, trying to start again, and we kind of follow their journey. It's 90 Day Fiance, the single life. And we're going to start out with Vanya and Tony. So Vanya is now talking with her cousin. So Tony came to out of town to a birthday event and a 4th of July party hosted by Vanya's cousin. And she kind of grilled him. There's also been other issues between her and Tony as well. But she's talking to her cousin at this time, and she says, that they talk things out, and they need to work on having better communication. But at the end of the day, she doesn't want her to continue to grill Tony anymore and make him feel uncomfortable. And her cousin's like, well, he's just sensitive. And she's like, just stop, just leave him alone. And she puts a bit of an expletive on there too. So she's really putting her foot down when it comes to her cousin. I don't know if that's the best way to treat your cousin, but at least I'm seeing a little bit more from Vanya and Tony's situation, because I really wasn't feeling whatever is going on between them. But to see, a little bit of fire behind Vanya, it's a bit of a surprise, and it's something that's better to watch. I'll say that. So her cousin says, I'll do my best. She's a little, upset, a little bit resistant, but she's like, I'll do my best, and I'll follow my cousin's wishes. So they party. There's some other blondes in the family that they kind of start swarming Tony and asking him questions, and it seems like it's fun. He's having actually a good time. Things seem to be better today. She gets her little birthday cake, and it's literally a little birthday cake. I don't know if the rest of the people just don't like cake, but she has her own little cake. There's fireworks. And oh, look, it's a surprise from Tony. So he pulls her away, takes her to his room. And it's not that kind of surprise. But, he has a couple of pieces of beautiful jewelry that she likes. And, he gets a kiss out of that. And then he's like, okay, well, I was wondering if we could spend some more time together tonight. And she's like, what do you mean by that? And he means, of course, sleep in the same bed together and, sleep together, basically. But she still has her celibacy standards, and she tells him that, and he said he really wasn't expecting that. And she really wants to wait about 6 months. She even feels 3 months is not long enough. She needs at least 6 months to know for sure if she's going to sleep with somebody, that it can be a risky situation in doing that. Well, he says, well, I want you to be comfortable. We can just cuddle. It doesn't have to be that type of thing. So, she says she wants to set some boundaries and just make sure he knows, where she stands and how she wants to go about this. So I don't know if they actually even spent the night in that bed together or what happened in that part. But he seemed somewhat disappointed. And she says she has to be careful because it does seem like, a little bit of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde when it comes to Tony. He's one way as a friend, but as a boyfriend, he's totally different. And I said, I understand that. I get that. Again, I had a friend that was a family friend, not that close, a bit distant. So the person seemed really cool in that position in life of who they were at the time to me and my family. But, when people get a little closer, you can kind of see more of their flaws. And he may be kind of a controlling boyfriend, a mean boyfriend, a jealous boyfriend. He may have his trauma and his issues when it comes to the love and relationship department. So he may be a totally different person, or she, depending on your scenario. She may be a totally different person if you turn it around. It's very possible for either side to be what they are. And people can be very different when they have different positions in your life. Well, all right, things seem to be better. They're good. She says, some time has passed and things are pretty great with Tony. So, they decided to go to a dance class after they returned. And it's been a little while. Like I said, things are pretty good. He's respecting her celibacy. And she wants to take him to a dance class. So she's going to so-called pop his dance cherry, so to speak. They're going to a bachata class. And Tony warns there's going to be a lot of stepping on the feet. He wasn't good at this. And he says, he doesn't know if he wants to continue to try to participate. They did the class part. He was a good sport. And the lady says, that's running the class is also Vanya's friends. Like, why don't you guys stick around? We're going to be doing some other dances. So he's like, I really can't dance. So I don't want to really stay any longer. We did the class part. Can we get out of here? So Vanya's like, no, that's no fun. So if you're not going to dance with me, I don't know if she was trying to get him mad or something. I'm going to dance with someone else. So I thought that was a bit rude. I mean, she was giving me like, footloose or something like, hey, if you can't dance, then you can't be in this town or something crazy like that. If you can't dance, then you can't be my man. I felt like it was a high school dance or something, and he was just getting dissed and treated like the wallflower or something. So she finds this other guy, kind of attractive guy as well. I mean, I'm sure Tony will be jealous of that part as well. And, it's like, do you want to dance? Are you free to dance? It's like, oh, sure. So he's getting mad and, he's like, well, hey, this is my girl. You mind if I dance with her? And, he's not really rude about it. He's like, oh, okay. So then Vanya gets upstairs. She storms off like, he shouldn't be getting mad like this. And, I'm like, duh, like, why would he not get mad if he can't dance? And then you're like, hey, let me find this other random guy to dance with all night while you just sit there and watch because you can't dance and this is your punishment. Like, I totally get where Tony was coming from. For her to think he was being unreasonable, I think she was being unreasonable in that scenario. He did what she wanted to do. Now, could she return the favor and do something that maybe he would like to do? But no, she wanted to dance the night away with somebody that just can't dance. So whose side would you guys take in this scenario, Vanya or Tony? All right, let's get to Kimberly, and Wayne. So Kimberly has a new suitor. She's actually been talking to this guy for a minute online. He's from the UK. And they're actually going to have their first video chat, which she's considering this a date. So this is like a virtual date. So this guy is attractive. He's African American, which I believe is Kim's type for the most part. But she likes Josh. So I think she's open. She also said another guy was hot that was not African American. So she's pretty open. And I'm not against that. But for the most part, I see her looking at men of color. And this guy is very attractive. He's bald. He's got body. Looks like he works out. And he tells us that he does. This is a so-called coffee date, virtual coffee date. He has an amazing accent. He has it all. And Kim, yes, I agree that this guy is very much a step above the rest of any guy I've seen you with. Probably even just of most guys generally, right? So first thing she does is tell him how attractive he is and hits on him right away. She says that, he says, okay, you're also beautiful as well. She says he's so handsome. So he lets us know he's a gym rat. His family is very important to him. And also, she says she feels the chemistry. The height was a conversation. He's only 5'6" versus her 5'9". So that was kind of a downer for her. But he was kind of scared to answer. Like, it was weird. It's like, I guess he knows the drill with women is like, hey, he's 5'6". He's a pretty short guy, but his hotness can make up for it. And if he's a good guy, that will really make up for it, right? But she said overall it was a good first date. She's not sure if she's up for another international relationship. It does take a lot, and if you have to go out of the country back and forth, that could take a lot as well. So then, one of the producers, the young lady is about 5'6", and Kim is 5'9", so that was her issue as well. She's like 3 inches taller than this guy. So she says, okay, to the camera person, hey, can you come over here? And the camera lady. And so she tested out, like, oh, well, that's not too bad. And she mimics giving her a kiss. Like, it's just giving her like a kiss on the cheek just to see how that will work. She said, well, okay, this really isn't that bad. I think I might be able to work with this. So let's see. Hopefully there is a future with Kim and Wayne. I'd like to see how this scenario goes because this guy is good looking. I'd just like to see this guy again. Pedro and Sophie. So they have a little coffee date. They're trying to rekindle things that were lost in the beginning when it comes to her coming to the DR. He's being super serious. And he's kind of upset because she's still healing from her divorce and all of these things that are not matching. And then on top of that, she meets the mom and the sister who treat her very ratchetly, horribly. So, he's apologized and is trying to make up for this and trying to mend things. So, it's been a minute. He's given her a little time and they're going on a coffee date. And she's supposed to be leaving the DR soon. He said he was missing her. And she said she's just kind of overwhelmed by everything that's been going on. He wants to resolve things. And, they feel like they have some chemistry there. And he wants to try again. But she said, honestly, I got to let you know something. I'm going to be meeting up with someone else. But it's not serious. It's not serious. But, he was unhappy about that. He said, oh, you're going to go date someone else? He says, yeah, but it's not serious. And I am single. So he's like, oh, okay, thank you. Enjoy your date. Thanks. And he's out of there. And he says, this is bull. He tells the producers it's a bull. You can go be with that guy. There's not much time left for you to be here, us to be here together in the DR. And you're going to spend your time with this other rando. Go ahead and do what you do. So for me, I understand. And he could have really blew up at her. He got up and left pretty fast after he heard that information. He was kind of done, right? I get it. He could have acted worse. I'm glad that he didn't. But he basically told us how really upset that he was. And I get it. I mean, I'm actually on his side in this scenario. Because she's like, I'm having fun living my best single life while I'm supposed to be meeting up with this guy on this guy's dime. I don't know. She probably paid for her own trip. But still, her whole point being there was to meet Pedro, connect with him, see if they had something. And they've had so many issues in between. I guess she could be done with it and she just wants to try something else. But it's like she's having her own little private trip and Pedro is just like a side part of what she's doing. And that was not supposed to be the case or the scenario. So I understand he's upset in the way that Sophie's deciding to go see this other rando guy who appears to be quite attractive and could probably one up Mr. Pedro, definitely indeed. But I really don't think that that's really fair. Now, if she would have done that during the break days when, it was a couple of days, he gave her some space. Now, that would have been a good time for her to do that. Was she too upset to do that? I don't know. But when she wasn't seeing him, she had some time between their fiascos to go hang out with other people. So she probably should have did that then and text Pedro and say, you know what, Pedro, I am going to go hang out and meet this guy. And that will be that. But she's telling him face to face while they're on their coffee date when they could hang out the rest of the day. He's like, oh, nope. The rest of the day is reserved for this other rando guy. So I get it, Pedro. I get it this time. I do respect her honesty. Not so much with Liz and Via because she did get honest with Via. But it was after they kind of was making their connection and they were kind of feeling each other pretty strong at this point. She told him about her cancer battle. Like, you could have told him about that other guy maybe around the same time, maybe. But she returns back to the table after she broke the news to him. She apologizes again. He's like, well, thanks for telling me, but you could have did it earlier. She says this was a tricky situation she got herself in, and she wished that he would have tried to see what could happen. There was a lot of tension going on, so she's like, you know what? Let's go back to my room with a drink. Let's get a drink. So she didn't think she would hurt someone as bad as she's been hurt. So she really feels bad about this. So they're hanging out her room, feet in the pool. She says she doesn't want to throw this whole thing away for nothing. That's what Via says. She says it's not a waste. This whole thing was not a waste. And he says, we'll just be more transparent in the future. And we could just go from here and make the best of this in the DR. So she's like, yeah. So then, they can start playing in the water. She throws the first kiss on him. Then they start to make out. And did she say she was going to put everything into this or something like that? Somebody said they were going to put all into this. And they really are putting all into this because they're going all into the bed. She starts undressing him because of their clothes got wet. That's the excuse. They're canoodling in the bed. We see the sheets. And that's all, folks. So I don't know how I feel about this because Liz again told him that, hey, I've got somebody back home, but, it's not finalized completely. And she's open to possibilities, which she really didn't fully say that. But she's showing us that with this situation, what she's doing with Via now, I don't respect it. Because I feel like the other guy, if you end up with the other guy, he's going to see this and he's going to have this burnt into his memory. People are going to be throwing this into his face for the rest of his life that, hey, this is what your girl did when she didn't know if she wanted you or not. And, so for the other guy, I'm kind of feeling like that's a bit rude. Now, hey, if you're not on TV, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. He doesn't know all the details. You can be general and vague with him, but he gets to see play by play what you did with this other guy. And if you go back to him, things are going to be tricky. I think it'll be a bit unfair, and you possibly won't even work after this video comes out, whenever he sees it. So I don't know how I feel about Liz's, what she's doing here. If I could see a conversation with her and the other guy and they're saying, or even if she reveals, hey, he said, he knows I'm going as a single girl. This is what we know. This is our understanding. Whatever happens. We've come to an agreement. Okay, that's better. But I don't fully know what this other guy is thinking or believes or, and even if that was the case, like I said, he always can pull the receipts on her with this video, with this whole season. So that's going to be weird if she ends up with the other guy. What do you guys think? Finally, Gino and Natalie. Now, things went so well between Gino and Natalie. We know that they spent the night together. He said things went so well. She invited him to come to LA and meet her daughter, Bella. He said their time together in bed was better than he'd had in the last 4 years of being with Jasmine. They welcomed each other with a few kisses. Bella was surprised that he was even coming, and he kind of hijacked her mother and daughter plans. She's graduated from cosmetology school, and she was planning to hang out with her mother during this time. But Bella had her attitude right away. After he got the bags out of the trunk, she told him to close the trunk. And he said, sure. And she's like, you need to do that. So she said that she's the biggest, to me, I say she's the biggest mama bear of her mother. She's the mama bear over her mother. And she did say that she's very protective of her as well. And she heard the situation. She knows what happened before when Jasmine was involved in this situation and they were together, and the way that she felt like she was thrown under the bus when it came to Jasmine being there and the argument. And, She ended up just leaving, and I don't think he went after her. I don't remember or recall him going after her. So she knows this stuff. And of course, I totally agree with her, as I am an overprotective person over my mom and have been for years and probably will always be on some level. But he says he needs to win her over at this point because her and her daughter are very close. So he knows this is going to be a huge hurdle for him to get across. So he thought they were going to have a fun time, romance again, relive the other night in Michigan. But he's saying, now he's so worried about Bella and what she thinks. So Natalie says, I'm going to surprise you and take you somewhere. So he's thinking, I can't have fun tonight. Well, she said, well, I'm going to take you to this place. So she takes him to a strip club sports bar. Everything a man would dream, right? Strippers, sports, and a bar, drinking. She was telling him, she didn't tell him this, but she told us she wants Gino to unleash the beast, because unlike what Gino says, she's saying, their romantic time was okay, but he needs to unleash the beast on her. So it sounds like it could have been better, right? So she brought the money and everything. She's like, I brought the cash. You just make it rain on these girls. You pick a girl for a lap dance. They sit together while she watches. And she thinks this is hot to see another woman dancing on her man. Jasmine would have never had any of this, is what Gino tells us. And we know that is true. And, they're both saying this was hot. She's like, okay, we can do this once a year or twice, like on our birthdays. So they go back to the hotel, and she's trying to see if he learned anything or if he feels anything or if he's going to unleash that beast on her, is what she's trying to do. So she was asking him, did you watch any of the sports? He's like, oh, what sports? So they were paying all attention to the naked women. She's hoping that he'll open up, and she's starting to feel like he is a bit. And he's letting us know that she is the opposite of Jasmine. She did ask him to take that hat off, which I'm sure every woman in the world would ask him to do. And he took the hat off. So let's see if Gino will up his game after this scenario. Now, for me, guys, ladies, are you okay with your man having a stripper dance all over him? I feel like she was okay because she was there. She could watch everything, and then she could take him home, and he can act out whatever he wants with her. Otherwise, I don't think she will be okay with this. And then, he's like, oh, we can do this, because Jasmine would never do this. But I think he probably want to do it like once a week, once a month. She's saying twice a year. I think he's going to want more than that. I'm sorry. That's just what I think. And she may have unleashed a beast that she may want to put back into the closet, especially if she finds Gino is now going to the strip club without her, going with her friends. See, you got to be very careful when you open up these doors. And if you do, you're going to have to be very specific as to how and when they can do this and that. And you need to be there. If that's a requirement, say so. But even then, once you open that door, you can say, well, we went the other time, so I didn't see anything wrong with me going. So you got to be very careful when you open those doors. And what did you guys think about Natalie's decision to take him and try to get him to unleash his beast? What would you have done, ladies? So this was a pretty good episode. There was a lot of questionable things going on, and what would you do type of scenario. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Thoughts, comments, questions are welcome. Email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com. Drop your comments below and check us out on our other platforms at cbiztvmedia.com. I'll talk to you guys next time. All the best and God bless.